he who overcomes. Okay, to he who overcomes. And because I think that as we're going into even this season, we have a lot to overcome. And we're going to be faced with things that are challenging us to overcome. And I know that it's going to be very difficult to deal with a lot of the things if we don't have the right mindset, if we don't have the right heart, if we're not with the right expectation of what it is that we're going to have to deal with and overcome. And so I want to do this teaching, and I want to begin in Revelation chapter 2, and I want to talk about what awaits those that overcome. In other words, what's our motivation here for overcoming? Why should we be overcomers? So who gets to eat of the tree of life? The one who overcomes. So I don't know about you, but that should be enough right there. We could end the sermon right there and say, okay, now we have enough motivation right there to say we should become overcomers. Of course, you need the rest of the message to figure out what it is you need to overcome. And we're going to talk a lot about that, but I want to first give you the incentive. I want to give you that carrot. Why should you even be thinking about overcoming? I mean, after all, that sounds kind of exhausting. I mean, it sounds a little intimidating. I've got to overcome stuff. Well, I don't know. What if overcoming meant you could eat of the tree of life? That sounds like a pretty good motivator. As a matter of fact, I probably shouldn't have to give you any more, but guess what? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more to give you other than just eating out of the tree of life. So we're told here, and he who overcomes and guards my works, so there are still works to guard, and I will put out there that I believe that is his commandments, his Torah, his instructions, what he's told us to do. This is why I've also done in one of the other teachings where it says something about, greater works you shall do. Yeshua's talking. Well, what works is he talking about? Torah observance. You're going to observe the commandments. You're going to help people out to learn and to keep. These are good things to do. And he said to me, it is done. It is done. I thought it was already done. See, we covered that already, right? Because now it is really all done. Now we're talking about, this is when everything really is done. He said, look, it is done. Sin and death is done. All the judgment is done. All of that needed to be happening as far as the fleshly world. We have this new Jerusalem, the new heaven, the new earth. It is done. Now we're into kingdom time, the forever, the Olam Haba, the age to come. And he says, it is done. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. To the one who thirsts, I shall give the fountain of the water of life without payment. Now listen to verse 7. The one who overcomes shall inherit all this. And I shall be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. So don't tell me that this is some sort of make an altar call, it's all done type of thing. He says the one who's inheriting all this is the one who overcomes. He didn't say, well, the ones who overcome will inherit this and also some of the ones that didn't have to overcome. No. To the one who overcomes. That means if you did not go through an overcoming process, you're not inheriting all this. Because your life is a life where you have to demonstrate what I call the Deuteronomy 8:2 test. Because that's an overcoming process, right? Deuteronomy 8:2, it says that Yahweh led them through the wilderness for the 40 years to humble them. That's overcoming self, all right? To humble them, to prove, to test whether it was in their heart to keep his commandments or not. See, because you can't keep his commandments unless you overcome self, the world, and all the other, and Hasatan. Because those are the things that are going to tempt you and draw you and pressure you not to obey. Some of us need to put some distance between us and some people. Not because we're judging them, not because we're cultistly isolating, just because they are not helpful in our process of where we're going. Because you're trying to climb out of the pit and they're grabbing your ankles. Because they want you to still be in the mud puddle with them. Because after all, it's much more comfortable when we're all down there together. But yet you're trying to climb out of the pit. You see a light outside the pit. You see a way to climb out. You see Yeshua reaching down his hand to give you a hand to help pull you out. They don't see that. So they're grabbing at your ankle saying, where are you going? So you may need to restrain some of that. You may need to, put a stop to some of that. What was Paul talking about? He was talking about the need to pour down upon and bury and tame something that he struggled with. And he struggled with it mightily because he said he still struggled with it. This is Paul. Okay? At this point, he's still struggling with something, you know? And the next thing I was going to read was to get the better of, subdue, or overwhelm, to put to flight. You know, sometimes those desires get the better of us instead of us overcoming, which means we would get the better of it. To subdue, overwhelm, to put to flight. Usually we do all of that to other people. We want to subdue or overwhelm and put them to flight. No, this is about you. You need to get the better of you. Subdue yourself, overwhelm yourself, and put to flight that self-sovereign desires of the flesh. There's a lot of people out there that didn't have the addictions and the abuses and the things that they learned to do, not knowing that they were wrong to do, that you maybe had in your life. So really, to some degree, that gives you an advantage. You can see what you need to fix a lot more clearly, but the person who went through life kind of just cruising along, and I never hurt anybody, and I didn't have all those, lifestyle issues and blah, 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 but you still had all these other things, like the ego, pride, and self-sovereignty issues of thinking that I've arrived, I'm okay, whatever. Somewhere between the I'm okay and the idea that I'll never be okay is where you're supposed to be. Because some of you think, I'm never going to get there. And some of you think, I don't know what the big deal is, I'm already there. No, it's got to be someplace in between that. An open and honest look at where you really are, so that you're not on the map going, you are here, and you think you're here when really you're on the other side of the planet. All right? You need to kind of get a real clear, Abba, show me where I'm at. So my point to you as we're going through this verse here is, where in your life are you demonstrating that even if someone were to push the pain button to like popping your hip out, would you still show that you're not going to let go? Because some of you, not some of you here in this room, but some of the people I've had to deal with in the last 15 years, somebody in their family, somebody who was a friend of theirs, somebody at their workplace, somebody pushed the pain button and they let go. And they didn't stick with it. Because I know some of you are struggling, and I got a lot of counseling this time of year from people whose family members are causing them lots of pain. Family members that are lashing out because they're not doing Christmas anymore, or they're not going to participate in the rituals that they used to do with the family at this time of the year. And they're crying on the phone with me because they're in huge amounts of pain because of the vicious attacks they're getting from their family. And I encourage them, be Jacob. Hold on tight. Don't let go, even though the pain is great because your hip is being popped. Because that's where the blessing then came. And so I want to ask you the question, will we hold fast when it's hard and painful? But we struggle. We struggle with what others will think. Look, you should be only concerned with what he thinks. He meaning the Creator. I'm pointing to the sky here, up. That's the only one you should be concerned with. Because people will say to me, oh, but I don't want to offend my mother. Well, what about offending your Creator? Oh, I don't want to offend my brother. What about offending your Creator? You're choosing to offend one or the other if you're going to compromise in a way that is not honoring to your Creator. Okay, so what happens this time of year? Grandma, Mom, somebody really close to you who you love dearly and honor and respect dearly wants you to come over for Christmas dinner. Can't go. Can't do it. Oh, but she's going to be crushed and mad, and maybe she will. I don't want her to be. You don't want her to be. And I'm not being callous about this. I understand it's going to be a hard thing to deal with. But then if you go, you're choosing to disrespect the one who's shown you that stuff is not something he wants to be a part of. Do you understand? You are making a choice of offending him instead of offending them. There is no such thing, based on what I just said, then as a Gentile believer. We need to just get past that. People are running around going on, I'm a Jewish believer, I'm a Gentile believer. No, you're either in the camp or outside the camp. The word Gentile, by definition, means you are outside the camp. Because the word Gentile means nations. It means the everybody else's. It's not a negative word. It's not an ugly word. We're hoping that the everybody else's will desire to come inside the camp. And they're all welcome to do so. I'm just using the terms so we understand the definition of terms. Those inside the camp. By the way, what does inside the camp mean? You have covenanted with the Creator, and you believe in the Mashiach. You've embraced Yeshua as Messiah. All right, that's what the people inside the camp do. The people outside the camp have all kinds of other mixed combinations of those things, or they have none of it. Some of them just have none of that stuff. And so they're not inside the camp. And so we call them nations, Gentiles, Goyim.